Good morning. Okay, Jake, I'm just checking to make sure that you can hear us on Zoom.
Yep, can hear you in Zoom, loud and clear.
Okay, Chair. We are live and we are ready when you are.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the Planning Commission January 27th, 2022 to order. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to take up 22-16, consideration of the adoption of Assembly Bill 361, findings authorizing teleconference meeting during a state of emergency.
Mr. Chair, I've reviewed the resolution and I'm fine with it as written. Those are my comments.
I am as well. So do you want to make a motion, a formal motion?
Unless there are
Anybody else?
Good.
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is Nicole.
Okay.
Good morning, Nicole.
I just wanted to point out that the resolution language is a little bit different than the prior resolutions that were adopted. There was some suggestion after your last meeting that perhaps with the current Omicron spike, you might find it, your commission might find it prudent to have entirely Zoom content meetings and not in person. And that is the language that is in the resolution that was presented to you today, that you would find that it is because of the Omicron spike for the next 30 days at least, or during the spike, within that 30 days, your commission would be meeting entirely on Zoom, which means that there would not be a physical space meeting for that time frame. And just so you're aware, 30 days would end, so it would cover the next two meetings. So the 10th, I think is, and then the 24th, which is when you would revisit the findings for this to determine whether or not to continue them, or if you feel, or if at that time you have reviewed the emergency and you have determined that it is again prudent to meet in person with other types of safety precautions in place, then you can do so at that time. But if you adopt the resolution as it is written today, then you would be adopting language that where you're finding that it is important for your commission to meet entirely on Zoom for at least the next two meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood it. I was under the impression that we were going to continue to hold meetings the way we have been holding them, with Zoom being an option. So this would be Zoom only.
Right.
For the next two.
That option does work for me as well, if that's the commission's preference.
Yeah. Anyone else have any?
I feel if it's the most simple resolution as of right now, kind of go with that and then revisit this on the 24th of February and then kind of see how things are going. Do you guys have a problem with Zooming in?
I don't.
No?
No.
My only concern would be public access, but if everybody else feels that it's necessary, then I'm certainly in agreement.
I actually think more people participated during the Zoom meetings. It was simply easier,
Right.
oddly enough, yeah.
So they'll have a link to watch it publicly for the next two meetings.
Well, in that case, I move that the resolution be adopted as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to 2219, election of chair and vice chair. So any thoughts? Do we want to continue with the process we've been using?
I think that's, best to be consistent.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not sure how that really works. Well, I mean, I know, but do you have to make?
I would be happy to make the motion to elevate the next commission member as chair. And
Floor is yours.
for my colleagues' consideration, I move that the commission elect Commissioner Price as our incoming chair and Commissioner Chavez as our vice chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So do I take over now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Good luck, Christina.
Thank you.
Madam
showing-
Chair,
Yes, good morning, Nicole.
good morning. If you could rotate your seats
Oh, of
for,
course.
and swap the gavel.
Thank you. That's so much easier. I feel so official now, thank you. Oh, of course, that's Beverly one, yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. We are showing a time of 9:06. We will take up our first item. It is a public hearing continued from January 13th, 2022 on consideration of approving an amendment, MMU 21-20 of original major use permit UP 18-43 and an addendum to a mitigated negative declaration IS 18-58. The applicant, Sunny S. Ranch / Shannon Sanders, is proposing 4 2,499 square feet nursery areas or greenhouses for immature cannabis plants in conjunction with the previously approved project. The project location is 19424 Butts Canyon Road, Middletown, California, further described as APN 014-004-20. Good morning, staff.
Good morning. We're setting up the PowerPoint. We need to get it on share mode. I can't see it to tell if it is or not. Okay, great. This item has been brought before the Planning Commission on more than one occasion. In fact, I think this is the fourth trip that Mr. Sanders has made here to get this resolved. In between the last hearing and this hearing, it came to light that Article 34 places limits on greenhouses that are in the scenic combining zone. Thank you. I spoke to the applicant just before the hearing today and asked if it would be possible in his mind to scale back the request. Rather than 10,000 square feet of greenhouses, he would reduce that in half down to 5,000 square feet. The CEQA evaluation occurred for the 4 new greenhouses in addition to the existing project that's on the ground out there. If the Planning Commission decides to make a decision on it, in my opinion, it wouldn't affect CEQA. In fact, it would reduce the impacts by reducing the total greenhouse square footage in half. It's possible that the code will be amended at some point in the future, although no date's been set for revisiting the Article 34 limits to greenhouses that are in the scenic combining zone. However, Article 34 is creating a great hardship on numerous cultivators. And the item, in fact, one of the other items today is reliant on Article 34 for our recommendation. So my hope is that at some point we'll either amend the code or amend the interpretation to make it a little easier for the cultivators that are within the scenic combining. However, for right now, the interpretation is that if they are abutting a scenic combining district, and in this case, Butts Canyon is a scenic road, and in fact, the way the code's worded, it says if a property is adjoining a scenic combining county road, the entire property, by interpretation, is under the scenic combining rules. So the scenic combining rules in Article 34 limit greenhouses to 5,000 square feet. So having said that, the applicant is perfectly okay with reducing the project by reducing the total square footage. So having said that, the original project came through the Planning Commission in 2018. Applicant realized that he needed to have some nursery area for immature plants. He initially asked for 4 2,499 square foot greenhouses. Again, per what I had just indicated per Article 34, that request has been reduced in half. However, the conditions reflect 4 2499 square foot greenhouses. Conditions would need to be modified to reflect 2, and at the Planning Commission's discretion, if you want to allow verbiage to allow 2 additional greenhouses, if the code changes or if the interpretation is made that scenic combining ends after a certain distance into the property, that would enable the director at their discretion to allow 2 additional greenhouses if the interpretation of the establishment of that zone changes. I have language here for it, but I'll leave that up to the Planning Commission if you want to put a condition to that effect into the conditions. So getting back to the project, the property is located. Yeah.
Quick question. If we were to do the latter, would that apply to any future project in such a zone, or would it be limited to just to this particular application?
Well, for now, we don't have a lot of options. We're limited to 5,000 square feet total, and it has to be adjacent to a county road.
Oh, I understand, but if we were to take that action and insert language that in the future, should Article 34 change, would that language apply to any future incoming application?
Well, potentially it could.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
if
Yes.
I may, I can shed some light on that. Your commission cannot regulate or approve permitting for a future potential ordinance section. You could not give permissions now for some hypothetical permission in the future on some use in the future. The options here, should the ordinance change in the future, the options for the applicant would be, if the change allows for an increase or different uses or an increase in use, then they would have the option of reapplication for an amendment to the permit should you issue this permit today. Your commission cannot put in language that would be a blanket permission for uses that may potentially occur in the future, because we don't know what those uses are. We don't know what the ordinance may look like. We don't know what the board would adopt at that time.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Okay, getting back to the project, applicant's located at 19424 Butts Canyon Road in Middletown. APN is listed in the staff report. The parcel is just over 20 acres. General plan designation is rural lands. Oh, thank you, Mary. Oh, okay. See, the zoning is rural lands and scenic combining overlay. Date submitted was June 7, 2021. And as I indicated, the request initially was for 4 2499 square foot greenhouses for immature plant production. Proposed amended is to reduce that in half. So we evaluated this for CEQA compliance. Initially, we thought it could be eligible for a categorical exemption. However, it came to light that, in fact, the scope of the project warranted a new CEQA review. We did that. We did an addendum, the addendums of record. We evaluated all 21 of the CEQA categories for the change in the scope of the project, and we didn't find it necessary to come up with any new mitigation measures. So the addendum is essentially a negative declaration without additional mitigation measures. And what that means is that the original mitigation measures for this project would remain as they were approved in, I believe it was 2019 at the first public hearing for the original project. Project does not conflict with the general plan, with the Middletown area plan, or with the applicable sections of the zoning ordinance. And that would primarily apply to the rural lands zoning district. Article 34 with the amendments that I described earlier, and Article 60.33, which identifies the requirements for any kind of an amendment to an approved permit. I've touched on CEQA. That was not adversely impacted by this expanded proposal. Therefore, our recommendation on this project is to approve the amended scope of the project to allow for 2 2499 greenhouses. And that concludes my presentation unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Eric. We will bring it to the commission for any comments for staff before we open it up to public comment.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
perhaps your commission would like to clarify with staff if the project in fact is being reduced by half, or if the canopy that had been planned to be grown in those reduced greenhouses is in fact being moved outside, and what the increased impacts would be if it is in fact being moved outside.
Thank you, Nicole. Eric, if you'd like to clarify.
Sure. The applicant hasn't indicated that they want to plant anything outdoors. So they've indicated that they're acceptable with reducing the number of greenhouses. And this is just for immature plants. This has nothing to do with the total mature plant canopy. That they're willing to go from just under 10,000 square feet to just under 5,000 square feet.
Okay. Thank you. Any of the commissioners have any comments before we open it up for public?
No, I just want to thank Eric for doing that. Sounds good.
Okay. We will go ahead and open this item up for public comment. Anybody in chambers wishing to speak on this item? Good morning. Please be sure to state your first and last name, and then there's also a little piece of paper there if you could fill out your information. You can do it after you speak if you'd like.
Oh, yes, that'd be nice.
Okay. Good
My
morning.
name's Shannon Sanders. I'm the applicant. Appreciate the opportunity to discuss my project with you folks today. Our main project is well underway. Just a quick update. We're getting very good reports from both local and state folks that have done the inspections. So far we're A+. That's great. A couple of interesting things about the project. What's very nice about it is from the roadway you can't even see the farm. My joke was earlier that if I gave you a pair of binoculars and said spot the farm, I don't think you could. It's I think the minimum is 500 feet, but we're closer to 1,600 feet. So and there's dense trees and whatnot, so it's in a good position. I did want to mention about the economic viability factor. This whole legalized cannabis industry is going through so many changes, and that's why it's so essential to have like drying facilities. We already have that, but nursery facilities also, just to make it economically viable. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Don't forget, though, thank you. I didn't see you grab that. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Max Hopkins. I'm here to speak in favor of the project. I've had the good fortune and opportunity to know Mr. Sanders for, I think, the better part of 2 decades. And as both as a professional and as a friend, I've been involved in this project since its inception. And I cannot understate the quality of the project. Mr. Sanders has been the paragon of compliance and good citizenship. He's reached out to his neighbors repeatedly. He has fulfilled every requirement imposed on him by the planning department, excuse me, and by the planning commission. I'm watching the greenhouses go up as we speak, and he has bent over backwards to make sure that everything is not only in compliance, but it's also top-notch, high-quality work. I'd rate it as a professional as A++. And I really think it's important that he go ahead and be granted permission to proceed. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. My name is Richard Durham. I'm a realtor, cannabis, consultant as far as cultivation is concerned, and I also own a farm. I visited many of the mixed light farms, and this is the first, most comprehensive mixed light farm I've ever been to. He's done an excellent execution of putting it. And this is the future of the industry. I do mostly full sun outdoor consulting, but I've been to many mixed light gardens. Most of them are just kind of slapped together because it's an expensive venture. This was well thought out before the market changed. As of the middle of last year, there was a huge shift in the market. And that is that all the distributors and dispensaries wanted fresh cannabis year-round. And the future of cannabis in Lake County will be mixed light, because we just have the perfect weather and atmosphere for it. And luckily, this will be one of the shining examples of a mixed light garden. I've been out there several times and watching the evolution of it. It's great. He's really been absolutely responsible. And if I were to say that anybody should get it, he should be allowed to. It's 99% of the way there. And this is just a finishing touch. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm proud to see it. And hopefully we'll be doing more of these in Lake County. And he will be an example for everybody to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers wish to speak on this item before I open it up to the Zoom room? Seeing no hands. Jake, do I have any hands in the Zoom room?
Yes, we currently have one hand raised in the Zoom room. I have a hand raised from Mike Mitzel. Mike, if you need permission to speak. And
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please confirm your first and last name.
Yeah, Mike Mitzel here. I'm a little concerned about the county's interpretation of the scenic combining district. I've looked at Shannon's property, and it's definitely not in the overlay district. If you look at the county ordinance section 3, it talks about establishment of districts, and it talks about sectional district maps, and there's a map that shows where the scenic combining district overlays into the property. On Butts Canyon, it's about 500 feet off the road. His project's more than 1,000, and I've been involved in other projects in the county that this problem came up. They made us push the building past the overlay district, and then it goes back to your regular zoning. I really believe that the county is making a mistake in the way they're interpreting the scenic corridor, and I would really like to see it figured out. And like I said, this isn't the way they've been interpreting this for very long. We did a project in 2019 that was not in the scenic combining district, was not interpreted the way that it is now. Eric was actually my planner on that project, and he's the one that made us push it out to the 500-foot mark. So I'm just really confused on, when did this change in interpretation happen? And is there any way to look into this more before we start having all of these hearings on projects that it concerns? Because it just seems like the wrong thing to do, to send him away with half of the greenhouses that he wants for really no reason at all. I don't know, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any response from staff on that? Do you want to respond?
No, what Mr. Mitzel mentioned is accurate. You know, we had interpreted under older directors and older building officials differently than it's currently being interpreted.
And it does sound like there will be some discussion on Article 34 in the future anyway.
Well,
yes, this is Mary Darby, and that is correct. I am scheduling a meeting now with the decision makers to review that.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Commissioner Hess, did you want to say something? I saw I wasn't sure if you wanted to before we close public comment. No, not before closing. Okay. Jake, any other hands? Go ahead, Nicole.
Since this is an issue that's going to be relating to several items on the agenda today and possibly coming up, I thought I would clarify, or at least provide your commission with the language that staff is reading currently in the way that is being objected to. So the Article 3 that's being referenced is in fact Article 3 of the zoning ordinance, and that is the article that actually creates the overlay districts. Article 3, Part 3.4 covers the designation of combining districts, which includes the scenic combining district. And 3.4b reads as follows. The regulations of the combining district shall apply to the land in the same manner as the base zoning district regulations. Combining district regulations shall apply whenever the symbol and boundaries of the area are shown on the sectional district maps. When a symbol for a combining district is added to a base zoning district symbol, the regulations of the combining district shall be applicable in addition to the base zoning district regulations. If any of the provisions of the combining district conflict with the provisions of the base zoning district regulations, the provisions which are most restrictive shall govern. The interpretation of, generally speaking, the law on interpretation of statutes and rules states that you look at the plain meaning of the language as it's written. The plain meaning of this paragraph is that the application of a combining district, if it applies in the same manner as the base zoning district, that means it applies to the entirety of the lot to which the zoning is applied. We have been unable to find anything within the zoning ordinance, within Article 3, or within the applicable scenic combining district section, which I think is 59. Is it 59? Which allows for, no, that's non-conforming. It was 53, I think. But which allows for the spot zoning within a lot by applying the scenic combining district somewhere indeterminate within a particular lot. There is no foot distance that's applied. There is no criteria that allows for staff to make a determination where a particular boundary stops within a lot for applying scenic combining district. The section relating to sectional district maps that that I think was cited by one of the commenters may address when there are conflicts, or at least when the boundaries of the districts that have been established are unclear. So Article 3, Part 3.5a outlines the steps that staff must take to determine the boundary of an actual district. Not necessarily the boundary of a district within an individual lot, but the boundary of a district in its entirety. And it states that where uncertainty exists as to the boundaries of any of the aforesaid districts as described as aforesaid or as shown on the sectional district maps, the following rules shall apply. And there are 4 steps that staff should take if there is uncertainty as to the boundary or a district boundary for any of the districts that have been established. And among those is to look at the streets and alleyways, to look at lot lines, and to look at the district maps and using those to determine where a boundary edge lies. You can certainly ask staff if they have confirmed that this particular lot lies within the scenic combining district and is actually zoned as scenic combining. And if it is, then the interpretation of 3.4 under Article 3, 3.4b, is that if that zoning applies and the property is adjacent to a designated either county road or state highway, then specific rules apply to development in that lot because it is zoned in that way, if that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that clarification and reading that for us. So public comment is still open. Jake, is there anyone else in the Zoom room?
Yes, I have a couple hands in the Zoom room. I have a repeat hand from Mike, and I have a new hand. I'm gonna go to the new hand here from Trey Cheryl. Looks like have you unmuted, and will you please confirm your first and last name?
Yes, this is Trey Sherrill. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to state that I had submitted a public records request for sectional district maps for a different property in November of 2021. I've yet to have that request answered, but I believe that if we find the sectional district maps for this property and others throughout the county, I believe it'll put this issue to bed. If we could just get those sectional district maps. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I do have one person who has called in via phone, so I just wanted to mention that phone callers can raise their hand by dialing *9. Madam Chair, would you like to take the repeat hands that I have up?
If aren't any new ones?
At this time, no, there are no new.
Okay, and I think
Madam
we
Chair?
should kind of keep it to the applicant, like as far as, go ahead, John.
Well, these changes, I think, are important to discuss and are extremely relevant, and I'm on the record regarding that, but that's really not what we're talking about at the moment.
Right.
We're talking about a revised addendum that would reduce the number of greenhouses, and we're not discussing the larger issue, although I believe that's important, but it has nothing to do with what we're...
The applicant.
With this particular agenda item.
Correct. That being said, I don't know if we should continue with public comment. Yeah, let's.
I'm making no attempt to limit conversation. I just would like to point out what's the four corners of the application say. Yeah.
Jake, we'll go ahead and take those hands in the Zoom room before we close it for public comment.
Okay, then I will, Mike, I'll give you permission to speak here.
All right, thank you. I'll keep it very quick. I would just like to say that the public or the sectional maps are in the planning department. You have to go to the planning window, ask to see their book, because that's the only place they exist, and they will give you a copy of them. But if you look at them, there's a clear green line through the property that shows the overlay on every parcel that is a scenic combining district. I feel like it's a very simple map. Shows exactly where the overlay is. This project is outside of that overlay, and so are many of the other projects that are going through this problem. So I would personally just like to see the commission just take a look at the maps. They have them right at the counter in planning. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
This is Mary Darby. I just want to let you know that our GIS person, yes, that's it, Commissioner Mel. Our GIS person is pulling those maps this morning, and we will have those and we can share them with you.
Thank you. Jake, was that the only hand in the Zoom room?
Yes, that was the only hand in the Zoom room.
Okay, looking in chambers, we don't have any hands raised. We will go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I support the proposal as would be amended today. I believe the applicant has been very patient in terms of a number of continuations, in terms of reducing the number of greenhouses. It's an ad hoc adjustment, I understand, and there's a larger underlying issue. But I think looking at what is before us, I'm certainly prepared to move ahead with that today. And I drive Butts Canyon several times a week for years, and the applicant is correct. It's that you cannot see any of the operation from Butts Canyon.
Thank you. No other comments from the commissioners? Okay, looking for motion.
Madam Chair?
Please.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the addendum to the initial study, IS 18-58, applied for by Sunny S. Ranch on a property located at 19424 Butts Canyon Road, Middletown, further described as APN 014-004-20, will not have a significant effect on the environment and that no new mitigation measures are necessary per the findings listed in the staff report dated January 13, 2022, and as amended here today.
I second.
Okay, motion has been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Chair, I move that the Planning Commission find that the modification MMU 21-20 applied for by Sunny S. Ranch on a property located at 19424 Butts Canyon Road, Middletown, further described as APN 014-004-20, does meet the requirements of Section 60 of the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, and the modification be granted subject to the conditions and with the findings listed in the staff report dated January 13, 2022, and as amended here today.
I second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7 calendar day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission's decision, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fees must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Commission's final determination. Thank you. Moving on to our second item. Our second agenda item is a public hearing continued from January 13th, 2022 as well, on consideration of a major use permit UP 20-74 and a mitigated negative declaration IS 20-87. The applicant, Mountain Green Farms LLC, or Cheryl Forberg, is proposing for a cannabis cultivation operation to allow 21,000 square feet of mixed light canopy area located within 7 3,000 square foot greenhouses and 43,560 square feet of outdoor canopy area located within a total of 67,080 square feet cultivation area. The project includes a processing/drying building, a shed for fertilizer and pesticide storage, 4 2,500-gallon water tanks, security, and a perimeter fence. The project is located at 7661 State Highway 29, Kelseyville, California, and further described as APN 009-022-33.
Thank you very much. This is Mary Darby, and I will be making the presentation for Victor Fernandez in his absence.
No, hold on 1 second. Mary, you need to screen share it because people on Zoom can't see it.
Question.
Oh, I don't know.
Should.
It almost looks frozen, yeah.
Is there a technical issue down there?
It's frozen, Jake.
Oh, I do see activity on my side. Try hitting escape on the keyboard.
Here we go.
Thank you, Jake.
You're welcome.
Will that mouse work from back there?
What would we do with it?
It's not on Zoom yet.
Thank you for everyone's patience. Appreciate it.
Okay. Mountain Green Farms LLC is seeking approval for a major use permit, UP 2074, to cultivate commercial cannabis that includes 21,000 square feet of mixed light canopy and 43,560 square feet of outdoor canopy area that equates to a total of 64,560 square feet of canopy area located within 67,080 square feet of cultivation area. The project site is located at 7661 State Highway 29, Kelseyville, California. And for the record, this is Mary Darby. According to the applicant, the proposed project will include the following: A-Type 3B mixed light license, an A-Type 3 outdoor license, and a Type 3 distributor transport, self-transport distribution license. The project will also propose the following: 7 30 by 100 greenhouses, a proposed 40 by 60 building for drying, trimming, and packaging with Americans with Disabilities Act compliant restroom, a proposed 120 square foot shed for fertilizer and pesticide storage, 4 proposed 2,500 gallon water tanks, 1 being steel or fiberglass for fire suppression, 2 existing 10,000 gallon water storage tanks, an existing on-site well for water use, 20-foot wide access driveway from the realigned State Highway 29, 6 employee parking spaces, including 1 ADA compliant parking space, a proposed loading zone, and perimeter fencing and security cameras. Next slide, please. The project is located within the Farmland Protection Zone. However, on April 20th, 2021, the Lake County Board of Supervisors adopted Ordinance 3103, amending Chapter 21 of Article 27 of the Lake County Zoning Code, providing a limited period of transition for applicants whose cannabis cultivation projects are located within the Farmland Protection Zone. In reference to Ordinance 3103, applicants are allowed to transition up to a period of 2 years from the effective date of the ordinance, or no later than May 21st, 2023. The outdoor cultivation area of the proposed project will be required to be transitioned to another area. Next slide, please. I'll get to seeing and combining in just a second, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the project setting. The parcel is located roughly 3.5 miles southeast of the intersection of State Highway 29 and Old Lower Lake Road in unincorporated Kelseyville, California. The parcel lies within the 8-digit HU sub-basin, Kelsey Creek Clear Lake, and Thurston Lake Watershed, HUC 10. In terms of the surrounding properties and uses of zoning, properties to the north, south, and east of the project site are zoned rural lands, while properties to the west are zoned rural residential. Surrounding uses consist of vacant residential and agricultural properties. The project parcel is not within a community growth boundary, and the proposed cultivation site is approximately 2.52 miles southwest from the nearest community growth boundary. In terms of access to the property is currently accessed by a private gravel driveway off of State Highway 29. Driveway improvements will include widening the road to meet CAL FIRE's 20-foot requirement. A condition of approval has been applied by Caltrans to ensure the applicant meets all requirements. In terms of security, a 6-foot tall chain link fence with privacy mesh screen and mounted with security cameras will enclose the proposed cannabis area. Additionally, a motion sensing alarm will be installed at the main gate entrance to alert staff when movement is detected near or inside the site. The property will operate with approximately 6 employees as proposed to run the activities during peak seasonal activities. 6 parking spots, including ADA compliant space, will be made available to employees. Employees would also have access to the ADA-compliant restroom that is proposed to be installed in the 40 by 60 building used for drying, trimming, and packaging. In regards to hydrology and water usage, the cultivation operation will use water from an existing permitted groundwater well that was previously approved or used for existing vineyard. The project was routed to environmental health for review, and they did not have any concerns in regards to the well. The applicant will be required to submit to the California Department of Cannabis Control evidence from the California Department of Water Resources indicating their department does not have a well log record. The applicant submitted a hydrology report that was prepared by a certified hydrologist with EBA Engineering. Also, that was prepared in August 2016. Also in August 2021, during an 8-hour pump test performed by Caltech Pump Well and Water Treatment, it resulted in approximately 18.5 gallons per minute. The hydrology report identified the following in the report: the cumulative impact analysis, which was based on the water demand for the proposed cannabis cultivation of 3.4 acres per feet per year. This incremental increase represents less than 1% of the groundwater estimated to be in storage within the cumulative impact analysis area. Also, the maximum daily demand for the on-site well was calculated to be 11,528 gallons per day. The pump test conducted in August of 2021 demonstrated that after pumping approximately 8,880 gallons over 480 minutes, the well recovered to 100% after 5 minutes. The available data suggests that the well is capable of reaching 100% daily recovery under an MDD scenario, maximum daily analysis. Additionally, the proposed water usage for the project site has been reduced by the cessation of existing improvements. A condition of approval has been added that requires the production well to have a meter to continuously monitor the water level of the well. The applicant will be required to maintain a record of all data collected and shall provide a report of the data collected to the county annually. In regards to fertilizers and chemical usage, fertilizers and nutrients would be brought to the site as needed and stored within secondary containment in the proposed 120 square foot storage shed near the canopy area. Next slide. Next slide. One more time. There will be no hazardous waste produced from this project. In regards to the general plan designation for the subject site, it is rural lands in reference to the Lake County General Plan 2018. Land use rural lands allows for rural development in areas that are primarily in their natural state. The applicant is proposing commercial cannabis cultivation, which applies to the agricultural crop production with the Lake County General Plan for rural lands. This project is also located within the Kelseyville Area Plan. The subject site is within the Kelseyville area plan boundary, and the proposed project will not affect or damage the natural flow and appearance of the creek located on the southeastern portion of the property because it will be located more than 100 feet from the top of the bank. The project will be required to meet Public Resources Code 4290 as well as 4291, which provides restrictions and regulations in regards to fire suppression and emergency access to the property. In regards to the Scenic Combining District, in reference to Article 34 of the Lake County Zoning Ordinance, this designation is to protect and enhance views of scenic areas from the county's scenic areas and highways. The proposed project is located within the Scenic Combining District. However, there is a parcel that is divided between the project site and the highway. Therefore, this property will not be impacted by the Scenic Combining District. Next slide. Thank you. Next slide. One more time. Okay, we'll review the environmental analysis for this particular property. There was an CEQA, which was required by the agency to evaluate the environmental implications of land use actions. An initial study and mitigated negative declaration was prepared and circulated for public review in compliance with CEQA from October 12, 2021 to November 12, 2021. The initial study found that the project could cause potentially significant impacts to aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, tribal resources, geology, hydrology, hazardous material, noise, wildlife, and energy. However, with the incorporation of the mitigation measures below, all impacts can be reduced to less than significant levels. Next slide. Staff has analyzed this project, and based on the findings provided, they are significant staff findings determines that detrimental impacts to the neighborhood will be mitigated in regards to the adequate size, shape, and location, that there will be, staff finds that the streets, highways, and pedestrian facilities are adequate. Staff also finds that the adequate public and private services are adequate, and that the project conforms with general plan, Kelseyville area plan, and zoning ordinance, and there are no violations of chapters 5, 17, 21, 23, or 26. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the board adopt the mitigated negative declaration initial study IS 2087, and also staff recommends that the board approve use permit UP 2074 with conditions. If you have any questions regarding any of the environmental review, I am prepared to answer any questions, and that will complete my presentation.
Thank you, Director Darby. Before I open it up to public comment, is there any comments from the commission?
I just wanted to compliment the applicant on the hydrology report. It was fascinating. And I just had a quick question. As I understand it, this is a basin into itself. So there's actually kind of mountains on all sides. And I haven't visited the site, but it looks really geomorphologically fascinating. That's all.
Any other comments from the commission before I open it up for public comment? Okay. We will go ahead and open it up for public comment. I believe the applicant is here, if they would like to speak. Good morning. Please be sure to state your first and last name, and then there's also a little green sheet of paper that you could fill out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cheryl Forberg. I'm here with my husband, Paul Scatone, and we're the owners of Mountain Green Farm. I just can't believe today's here. It's been over 18 months since we submitted our application in July of 2020. And I just wanted to thank Victor Fernandez for his hard work. I'm sorry he's not here today. I want to thank Mary Darby for her support. I'm so grateful that the entire Planning Commission is here today. And I also want to thank our consultant, Sufyan Hamuda, who is on the line. And if you don't mind keeping the line open for him, Jake, in case there are any comments that Sufyan needs to add. And also, I really want to thank all of our friends and neighbors for an incredible amount of support that they've given us through this trying process, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in chambers wishing to speak on this item before I open it up to the Zoom room? Jake, is there any hands in the Zoom room?
Yes, I do have a couple hands raised in the Zoom room. Since he was called out, I do have a hand raised from Sufyan Hamuda. I'm sure I wrote that name, never do. Sufyan, I've given you permission to speak.
Hi, this is Sufyan.
Hi, yes, and we can hear you. And please confirm your last name.
Yep, Hamuda. I'm available for any questions if you guys have any as well.
Thank you.
All right, and the next hand I have raised is from Mike Mitzel. Mike, I've given you permission to speak, and it looks like you're muted. Please confirm your first and last name.
Hi, Mike Mitzel here. I'd just like to say I'm happy that the staff made this interpretation on this project about the scenic corridor, but again, I just think it's another example of why it needs to get really figured out, because I mean, it doesn't say anywhere in there that if there's a parcel in between that it takes you out of the scenic combining district. So I'm just confused as to how this project was allowed to build 17,000 feet of greenhouse, and then you just told the last guy, it's in the exact same scenario, that he can't do it. I just think it just shows the inconsistency again, and another reason why it needs to get really figured out.
Can I comment on that?
Thank you for your comment. You're welcome to respond. The applicant is what, you're welcome to respond, Cheryl, if you'd like.
Yeah, I just,
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
So this particular property, Article 34 says that in scenic combining it has to be adjacent to, and there's a parcel in between. So that's why it doesn't affect the scenic combining district.
Thank you. Okay. Jake, no more hands in the Zoom room?
There are no more hands raised in the Zoom room.
Okay. Looking around, I see no hands raised in chambers. We will go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission. Any questions or comments?
Sure, I have a few questions. Whoever can answer these, either the applicant or Ms. Mary Darby. So I was looking at the report, and a couple questions came up from a letter from the Department of Transportation. One saying that the parcel involved was involved in an ongoing court case due to the acquisition and damage compensation of some portions. So due to the development with the Lake 29 Expressway project, could you guys clarify on the ongoing court case with the property?
yeah,
If you could come to the mic, thank you. And if you could just state your first and last name so that they have it again.
yes, this is Cheryl Forberg, and the owner of 7661 Highway 29 in Kelseyville. Yeah, the Caltrans project involved acquiring a piece of our property near the road, part of our driveway, and the work has been going on for probably 3 years now, but everything has been settled. Did you have any more questions?
No, I believe that was it. So this letter was from October 5th of 2020. So, I mean, it's 2022, and I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was resolved in, I think it was July of this year. The suit was settled.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any, Commissioner Fields?
Yeah, and some of this information that I was reading is probably out of date, so I was just hoping you could kind of bring me up to date on it. I was concerned about that litigation as well, and that sounds like it's been taken care of.
Try and talk more into your mic.
Sorry. CAL FIRE didn't seem to approve of the delay proposed. Has that been resolved?
I'm not sure what you mean with the delay.
There was an agency comment from CAL FIRE about it.
We've been in regular contact with Paul Blues, who's the fire marshal in Kelseyville. He's been out to the house, and we've asked him to come out just to be sure that all the work that's being done in front of our house conforms to what their requirements are. And
okay, awesome. Let's see, the other note I had was water quality board fees hadn't been paid. Did that get resolved?
yes,
Okay.
that was a mistake. It was paid.
Okay, and then there's something about a well permit as well. And I think I saw that on the hydrology report, so yeah, never mind. I think it's good. I think, yeah, this is all my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I would also like to say that we do have conditions of approval, for approval, in the staff report as well. And it does deal with the CAL FIRE and other issues you've mentioned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments for the applicant, we are looking for motion on this topic, or on this item.
I'd be willing to make a motion.
Please.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the major use permit UP 20-74 applied for by Mountain Green Farms LLC on property located at 7661 State Highway 29, Kelseyville, further described as APN 009-022-33, will not have a significant effect on the environment, and therefore a mitigated negative declaration shall be approved with the findings listed in the staff report dated January 13th, 2022.
Second?
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move that the Planning Commission further find that the major use permit UP 20-74 applied for by Mountain Green Farms LLC on the property located at 7661 State Highway 29, Kelseyville, further described as APN 009-022-33, does meet the requirements of Section 51.4 and Article 27, Section 1 IIG, II of the Lake County zoning ordinance, and the major use permit be granted subject to the conditions and with the findings listed in the staff report dated January 13th, 2022.
Second?
Motion's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-calendar-day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fees must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 3, public hearing to consider a proposal to amend MMU 20-11 major use permit UP 18-25 and grant the expansion of the existing use to legitimize a 8,100 square foot building that was built without land use approval or building permits and is associated with the previously approved major use permit UP 18-25 and an addendum to mitigated negative declaration IS 18-110. The proposed project is located at 9475 Bottle Rock Road, Kelseyville, California, and further described as APN 001-004-60.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Eric Porter, Associate Planner, Lake County. This has been a very difficult application process. Prior owner of the property had applied for one use permit for one A-type 3 outdoor license in 2018. That was approved by the Planning Commission. They then came back in and applied for a minor use permit to expand their area by adding 3 additional outdoor cultivation licenses. That came back to the Planning Commission in 2019 or 2020 and was approved. Somewhere between 2018 and 2020, the applicant also merged 3 properties into one property, so it's effectively one lot.
Eric, I apologize, 3 parcels into one, or?
3 lots into one lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it was through a voluntary merger, which affected the parcel numbers. Initially there were 3. It got reduced down to 1 because it was only one lot after the merger occurred.
Okay.
So the property's been approved for 4 outdoor A-type 3 licenses. At some point, the original property owners sold their property, and the new owners acquired it. The owners being KLS RBS, represented by Mike Mitzel and Jed Morris. Also, at some point, construction began on a building that's at the center of this amendment request. The building is 8,100 square feet, according to the plans that we've received, and it's at a height of 26 feet. The property is actually in a scenic combining area. Scenic combining allows up to 5,000 square feet of building, and this one's about 3,100 square feet more than what is allowed for an accessory building in the scenic combining. There's also a 15-foot height limit on any accessory building within the SC combining district, the scenic combining district. This building is 11 feet taller than what's allowed in that zoning district. I did have a talk with the applicant last night. And they had asked if we, the planning commission rather, would be willing to allow a continuation for the purpose of exploring potential remedies that would be something other than a denial. We have not had time, we just ran out of daylight, to look at it in depth to see what potential things could be done in order to alleviate the restrictions found in the scenic combining district. Our standing recommendation is for denial. The building was not built with building permits, nor was it part of any land use approval. So essentially they began construction, and I'm not clear on whether it's the prior owner or the current owners who began the construction, but the bottom line is the building had been red tagged as of summer of 2020, and the stop work order is still in effect pending resolve of the land use aspect. They have submitted a building permit. We have not signed off on it because it doesn't have land use approval. And so they're attempting to fix the problem that was created. The bigger problem is that we can't approve something that the code won't allow. And so assuming that our interpretation of the scenic combining district is valid, they exceed the height and they exceed the square footage with this building. Therefore, we're not able to recommend an approval, nor can we recommend that the building permit be validated. From staff's perspective, their only alternative is to remove the building. This also includes a retaining wall that I just became aware of last week. Likewise, it was built with no permits, and it was not evaluated under CEQA. The building, however, was evaluated under CEQA. We did an addendum. There were no obvious issues with CEQA pertaining to the building. However, because the retaining wall wasn't evaluated, the CEQA evaluation was not a complete evaluation. Notwithstanding CEQA, CEQA does not apply if a project is denied. There's a subsection in CEQA, I don't remember the number, it's 15240 or something similar to that, that basically says if a jurisdiction disapproves a land use application, CEQA does not apply. So that is essentially our environmental evaluation in the staff report. Again, our recommendation at present is for a denial, but the applicant has requested a continuation so we can discuss potential remedies if there are any available with them. And if there's some way of finding these remedies, we would then bring that back, probably with the revised CEQA addendum, to the Planning Commission for reconsideration. So officially, staff's recommendation is denial. It's up to the Planning Commission if you want to allow a continuation to give staff and the applicant a chance to explore potential remedies. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Eric, thank you for that. It was a complicated read as well.
Oh, thanks. I'm sorry, I can't see very far.
Yeah. Whether construction began under the previous owner or the current owner, the building is the wrong size. But it would be important to me to know whether, who started that construction? Was it Mary Draper or was it the current property owners?
Commissioner, I don't know when the property sold. I have a pretty good idea of when construction started based on when it was red tagged. However, planning doesn't have immediate access to sales documents pertaining to properties.
I'll put that question to the applicant then.
Okay.
Thank you, Eric.
Any other comments or questions for staff or the applicant before we open it up for public comment?
Yeah, I just wanted a clarification. So the retaining wall that I saw in the picture of the red tagged building was done recently. Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't have any background on the retaining wall at all. In fact, I became aware of it last week.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will go ahead and open it up for public comment if anyone in chambers wishes to speak. I don't believe the applicant is here. Might be on Zoom. Jake?
I'm sorry, what is the name of the applicant?
Mike Mitzel.
Yes, Mike is here and he has his hand raised. Mike, I have given you permission to speak.
Hi, hello, Mike Mitzel here again. So I was brought onto this project once it was already red tagged. Jed's not on the call today. He will be in the meeting if we could get it postponed to another day. What I do know is that once I got brought onto the red tag, we brought all of the building plans and have worked with the building department, and they have cleared what was done. So just to be clear, the retaining wall, the building, all the plans have been submitted. They had pictures and an engineer on site when it was done. I believe the reason why they didn't go through the planning department was this was handled right during the heat of the shutdown of the first COVID wave. I know that's not an excuse, but that is what had happened. And like I said, it was all, the work was done right. It was signed off by engineers. There was pictures taken through the process. The building department has cleared what was done. The only thing that's not signed off on the building side is the zoning clearance part of the building permit. Again, we feel that the building isn't in the scenic corridor or a combining district. We feel like it's outside of where it lies on the map. You can't see the building from the road. We feel like that, you know, this is part of this problem that we're having with the scenic combining district is we just don't feel like it's being applied correctly to this building. And then if that is the case, then it would meet all the size and height requirements. And I don't know, that's where we stand on it. We'd like a little bit of time to talk to the county to try to figure this out and hopefully get another interpretation on the scenic corridor, and then we can get this thing fixed correctly, get it finished, and move on from there. And that's where we're coming from.
Thank you. Jake, any other hands in the Zoom room?
No, there are currently no more hands in the Zoom room.
Thank you. Also looking in chambers, there are no hands raised. We will go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission for some discussion. So it sounds like to me that the applicant, do they have like a certain amount of time that they would like for the continuance, Eric?
Well, we briefly talked about that. We were just thinking that 1 month would probably be prudent given just how buried we are under other things. So the next date, if that 1 month applies, would be February 24th, I believe.
Okay. Does the commission feel that issuing a continuance versus the staff recommended denial is something that we want to entertain? Any thoughts on it?
Well, I feel like I would go with the continuation if Eric seems it possible that this can be mitigated. If not, we'll take the other route.
I don't see any way that it could be fixed, but I haven't researched it thoroughly either. And so in fairness to the applicant, I'm willing to spend more time trying to figure out if there might be a way to do something in order to get it in a position to where it could be approved. My biggest concern doesn't have to do with the size, believe it or not. It has to do with the height. Assuming that there were not a scenic corridor combining overlay, it would still be limited to a height of 20 feet. Even with the minor use permit that allows a 25% increase in height, they're still over. You know, that would only get them 5 additional feet if they were in fact approved for a minor use permit just for the height of it. There's no limit to the size of an accessory building in the RL zone other than it would have to probably undergo a collector permit review. But again, these are all things that it's kind of a moot point because based on our interpretation of the scenic combining application, the reality is, we regard the building as being within the scenic combining, and it doesn't meet the height and size requirements that are within Article 34. So I really don't know. I don't know if there is a solution to it, but I'm willing to check.
I just would like to make the comment that I think that we should be in the business of encouraging people who are illegal to try to become legal. And I don't see why we shouldn't give them a little bit more time to try to do that. From the photos, it looks like it's a steel building.
Yeah, it's very heavy construction. It's concrete and steel. Removing it would be a significant task. The building's not complete, by the way. It's about, I would guess, about 1/3 complete.
Madam Chair?
Please.
I appreciate Mr. Porter's willingness to continue to work with the applicant, and I would, at the applicant's request, support a continuation. On the other hand, I feel like it's kind of a round peg in a square hole, and it may be an insurmountable issue. But I'm certainly willing, if all parties are interested in pursuing a possible solution, to support that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hess. Commissioner Brown, anything to add?
You know, my first thought is there's a lot of work that needs to be done. At this point, I'm in favor of staff's recommendation of denial. Hearing the colleagues, I think an opportunity, if Eric is willing to look into it, to start those discussions. If it can become into compliance, it's worth a chance. But that's kind of where I'm at this point.
Thank you. So it does sound like we have a majority consensus as far as continuing this item. Do we have a motion to continue?
I'm happy to make a motion that we continue agenda item number 3 until the Planning Commission hearing on February 24, 2022.
Mr. Commissioner, would it be possible to bump that back to March 10th?
I'm neutral on the subject. Does that work for my colleagues? Sure, then I amend my motion to March 10th.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the continuance?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries for the continuance. Thank you. All right. Moving right along. Lastly,
thank you.
We have a public hearing to consider major use permit UP 20-50 and to adopt mitigated negative declaration IS 20-62. The project applicant Pillsbury Family Farms / John Evans is proposing a major use permit for the cultivation of commercial cannabis for 3 Type A medium outdoor commercial cannabis licenses consisting of 124,270 square feet of cultivation area and 1 Type 13 self-distribution license. The project location is 26102 19N16 Road, Lake Pillsbury, California, and described as APN 001-030-36.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Eric Porter, Associate Planner, Lake County. First of all, I want to express my appreciation to the applicants for their patience. This has been a really painful process. The property is located off of a forest road. It's a federal road maintained by the people that live on the property, but it is a federal road leading into the Pillsbury site. Getting back to the actual scope of the project, applicants have requested 3 A-type 3 medium outdoor cultivation sites. Proposal originally was to have phases. Phase 1 being 1 acre of A-type 3, and then the second phase would occur in the second year, which would add 2 additional A-type 3 licenses. Applicants have provided everything that we needed in order to review the project, and that includes water analysis, cumulative water analysis, prepared by Don McEdwards, who's a PhD and a licensed civil engineer. Site plans, biostudies, cultural study, and property management data. So we've had everything we need to review the project. Zoning of the project is RL. Thank God it's not in a scenic combining zone. We don't see any obvious issues with it. We did have 3 neighbors that expressed concerns about it. Their comments are of record. I believe it's attachment 8, but attachment 8 for public comments. None of the comments that I received caused me any anxiety in terms of whether the analyses that we were provided are actually flawed or problematic in any way. So we feel that they've met the burden of their submittal. The property is located in the Lake Pillsbury area. The issue that initially came up had to do with the road leading to the property. So 2 weeks ago, I had a discussion with the battalion chief, Mike Wink, for CAL FIRE to clarify what exactly Public Resource Codes 4290 and 4291 meant. And he clarified for me that any federal, state, or county road is not held to PRC 4290 and 4291 standards. Because that federal road no longer applies or has to be held to that Public Resource Code 4290 and 4291 standards, we were then able to look at the interior driveway, which is required to meet PRC 4290 and 4291 standards. So there's a condition of approval that I had to add that basically requires the applicant to bring the interior driveway up to CAL FIRE road standards. The other part of this project that was a little challenging is that Road 19 North 16, the Forest Road, is a seasonal road. It's closed in the wintertime. So I thought the most appropriate condition would be to limit the outdoor cultivation to the same time frame when the road's open. And so that way there wouldn't be any conflict with the road closure versus when they're cultivating. So what that means is that they would be able to cultivate between April 1st and November 15th if the commission agrees with the condition that essentially limits the outdoor cultivation. The reality of it is they probably couldn't cultivate before April 1st or after November 15th anyway. This property is at a fairly high elevation. They do get snow, inclement weather, and again, it's in the Lake Pillsbury area. So here's a picture of the cultivation area, and I should note that they had been approved for legal hemp production in the past. And so the area that they would transfer into the cultivation area has been previously cleared. There was no indication that any trees would need to be removed. Although it is fairly heavily treed, the property, they've already got the cultivation area fairly cleared. So there wouldn't be extensive site disturbance in order to provide the new cultivation areas.
Eric, if I could interrupt you just quickly. With regard to the hemp operation, that would mean then that in the past there have been vehicles going in and out related to the production of hemp, and the roads in question were able to bear that burden. Would that be correct?
I would assume so.
Thank you.
I'd have to defer that to the applicant.
Okay.
I wasn't involved with the approval of the hemp permits in the past, but I do know they were issued a permit for hemp production, although I don't know which years that occurred.
Thanks.
Water analysis, I touched on it. There was some concern by one of the neighbors about draining the aquifer or about, shorting the other properties in the vicinity in terms of water usage. So the applicant has provided the water analysis that I referred to earlier, and it contradicts the neighbor's concern about draining the aquifer. It appears that there is adequate water for this project and for the area wells if they use their permitted groundwater well for irrigation purposes. Project analysis. I brought my wrong glasses today. I apologize for that. It was subject to Article 7, which is the rural land zoning district requirements. Commercial cannabis outdoor cultivation is permitted subject to a major use permit in the RL zoning district. Article 27, subsection 11AT regulates commercial cannabis cultivation. And we found that they met the burden required in Article 27, Part 11AT, as well as the requirements for a major use permit found in Article 51.4, which have the 6 conditions of approval. They have to adhere to all state regulations, but that's typical for any cultivator that is doing it legally. Analysis. I think that says the 6 findings for approval. It does. Okay. I'm sorry. I got to get my right glasses with me next time. No, I think I've got it memorized. First one, that the use won't be detrimental to the neighborhood. There are 3 neighbors that would probably disagree with that. I think that's a subjective observation on the part of the neighbors. The reality is the property is almost 100 acres in size, and it's located well away from a populated area. The lots in the vicinity are either BLM or they're large lots that are, frankly, they're sparsely populated. My observation of the intent of the cannabis ordinance, and this is just my own personal opinion, is that it was intended to be located in lots that are similar to this one. You know, this is not having a direct impact on any significant population base at all. Second, lot is adequately sized, shaped, etc. for the type of use that's proposed. Again, the lot's 99 acres in size. Cultivation area would be 3 acres, and so it's a fraction of the size of the overall parcel. The cultivation area is located in the approximate center, upper center of the site. There it is. Now you can't see the whole site on that slide. Anyway, it's located in a fairly well-positioned portion of the site in terms of separation from other neighboring lots. The lot's certainly large enough to support these 3 licenses. Number 3, streets, highways, etc. are adequate for pedestrian, bicycle, I don't think bicycle is in that part of the code, and vehicular use. I don't envision a lot of pedestrians using that forest road. In fact, there just aren't a whole lot of people out there that would probably use it for bicycling or for pedestrian use. I've already mentioned that the road is seasonal. However, staff's comfort level with having a seasonal requirement for cultivation addresses the seasonality of the road to the extent that we were able to address that. Number 4, adequate public or private services. Well, the property is not entirely off-grid. Their needs for power are minimal. Being at outdoor cultivation, they just don't have an extensive need for additional power. The only power they would need would be for the security cameras and possibly for some security lighting. That would have to be downcast, by the way, and would not be able to be shining into neighboring properties. Water, they're served by an existing permitted on-site well. We have the well log in our data. Sewer, they're actually on a septic system, which is typical for lots that are in the back 40. And the road I've already covered. Number 5, the project is in conformance with applicable provisions and policies of the code, general plan, area plan, and zoning ordinance. And we were able to make the finding that it did comply if seasonality was a requirement within the conditions of approval based on the road closure in the winter of 19 North 16 Forest Road. And then finally, the no violations of chapters 5, etc. Are present on the property. And we have no indicator of any violations that have occurred. In fact, they've gone to great lengths to be responsive to our requests for information. There are 3 additional findings that have to be made. That the applicants are qualified to make the application, that the property is appropriate for the application, and that the application complies with qualifications of a permit found in Article 27. And we were able to make all 3 of those findings. The applicants have applied for and passed a live scan background check, so they're qualified to make the application. Project is, in staff's opinion, ideally situated for this location. And the project rather, has met all the requirements that we were able to apply to it in the general plan, the Lake Pillsbury area plan, and the zoning ordinance. State regulations have to be adhered to. The applicants are aware of that. That includes PRC 4290 and 91 on the interior driveway. CEQA, we did apply CEQA. There were potentially a few categories that could be impacted. We felt that each one of these 5 items were able to be mitigated, and we put mitigation measures in place as conditions of approval to address them. Public comments I've already indicated. Those are attached as attachment 8. Our recommendation, this was initially coming through as a denial. I have not updated this slide presentation, so we are now recommending that we do adopt IS 2062. And the reason that we were initially recommending denial had to do with our interpretation of PRC 4290 and 91, which was since clarified. And we're recommending that the Planning Commission now approve with conditions UP 20-50, and I apologize that I didn't update that slide. One housekeeping item I need to mention. Conditions of approval were, this project was originally intended to come before you on November 18th. It still lists November 18th as the approval date. If you decide to decide it today, either approval or otherwise, we need to amend that date on the conditions, and it needs to reflect January 27th, just for housekeeping. So that concludes my presentation, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Eric. Does the commission have any questions for staff before I open it up for public comment? Okay. We will go ahead and open public comment on this agenda item. Anyone wishing to speak on this agenda item? If you would like to speak, you're welcome to approach the podium. Please be sure to state your first and last name. And there's also a green piece of paper for you to fill out, please. Thank you.
My name is Robert Gary. I'm the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Bimito-Pomo of Upper Lake. Basically a comment and give an update about what I think where the tribe's concerns were. They were met. We did go into consultation. September 9th of 2021, we did get a monitor agreement because of the sensitivity of archaeological sites in and close to the area. So, we are in compliance, and we have asked for cultural sensitivity training before any ground disturbance or any type of work happens out there. We were in agreement with that. So as far as the tribe's concerns with the cultural resources in the area and close to the area, those have been met with the tribe. So, we are looking forward to working with the applicant, and then I just wanted to give that update, to the committee.
Thank you. Jake, are there any comments in the Zoom room?
Yes, at this moment, I do have one hand raised in the Zoom room. Eric McCarrick, I've given you permission to speak. Will you please confirm your first and last name?
Yes, my name is Erin McCarrick.
Thank you.
That's okay. Thanks, Jake. In Clear Lake. I'm just voicing my support for this applicant and the project. As Commissioner Hess noted, during the hemp operations, the ag commissioner, then Commissioner Hijack, went up there and actually noticed the commitment to local flora and fauna and biodiversity, which I also want to speak on behalf of the applicant, really is committed to ensuring care for the land and stewardship of that. So they've been at it for a while, as Eric has mentioned, Mr. Porter mentioned. So just voicing my support for the applicant. Thank you very much, commissioners.
Thank you. Jake, I do have someone here in chambers who's going to speak.
Hi there, Chair Price, members of the commission. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today. My name is Dan Turbyfill. I am an advisor for the applicant. And as Eric had mentioned, this has definitely been an incredibly painful process for the applicant, dating back to, it'll be 5 years in March that he actually slept out on a concrete bench standing in line to be amongst the first to get a permit here in Lake County. So this is the end of a very long journey for the applicant. Mr. Evans is the epitome of what we consider legacy farmer. He has been cultivating and has been doing this work for decades as a conscientious and a good steward of the land, a teacher, an educator, and a really incredible community member. Myself personally, I've helped numerous legacy farmers and large vertically integrated companies throughout the state of California. I've done work in 8 different jurisdictions, including here in Lake County. I've completed 33 licenses here for cultivation on other projects. And I work closely with the Department of Cannabis Control. I work with the California Department of Food and Agriculture. I do pre-inspections of farms, and I have spent some time over the last year with this applicant. And I did walk the property, and I'm telling you, it's impeccable. And the work that they're planning to do here is going to be incredible. And also, I see that they will be able to participate in the state California Cannabis Track and Trace system, which is important for all of us, that they are able to participate in the regulated market to sell the products to get the tax dollars that you need. So they will have that opportunity. And to you guys, thank you so much for navigating these gnarly regulations that we need to work through. And thank you for your hard work supporting the applicant. And we look forward to this approval. And my personal recommendation would be that you and I want to support the approval. So thank you again for this opportunity, and we look forward to moving forward.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Good. If you could just state your first and last name for me, please.
Jean Canavari, and I just want to support John Evans in his project. And I'm a neighbor of his on Oak Gap Road.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment. Anybody else? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm John Evans. I've had an intimate relationship with medical cannabis for many years, and I've been invited to become a legal farmer of this miracle medicine, and it's been a long process. Since almost 5 years ago, I spent the night on the bench outside in line for one of 12 permits that were going to be issued that month, only to find that a person in line could actually apply for more than one of the 12 opening positions. So when I got to the window at the Planning Commission, I was told that all the slots had been filled, and I would have to come back in another month. And they assured me I wouldn't have to spend the night on the bench and I would be the first in line, which relieved my concerns a little bit. But it's been a long, difficult road, and I look forward to working with the county and on a legal capacity and not have the stigma of being an outlaw in my community for a medicine that I believe is beneficial in so many ways to our community. And I appreciate your time and efforts that you've put into reviewing our project, and I look forward to working with you in the future as a legal farmer of this medicine. And I thank you for your consideration of our license today.
Thank you. Jake, are there any hands in the Zoom room?
No, there are no hands raised in the Zoom room at this time.
Okay. If anybody else would like to speak in chambers, this will be your last call. Absolutely. Please be sure to state your first and last name and then fill out one of the green cards for me, please.
You got these things right here. Hi, my name's Chinny Azura Dotson Newman. I'm a friend of John's, and over time, just me coming from Sonoma County and actually being able to come up and actually visit my friend has been a good thing, because there's people that I don't have access to because they don't really take care of the roads, etc., right? So just him being up there and the work that they're doing, so I can have access to even come see them in my little 4-cylinder Toyota, you know, is like, it's a good thing. So just, I'd like to put that on note.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Justin Quayle. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to just get in front of you. We've been through several planners, and I don't want to get on the mistakes, but obviously you guys all know who I am, and I'm going to keep coming and speaking up when things are done wrong, but it's all about changing. Let's not punish anybody for the changes that we're all adapting to, right? So, you know, it's been interesting. We paid our early activation fees, the full amount, to be in the early activation program. Oh, I think it's almost 3 years ago. And it's just great to see that we can get in front of you eventually. It's been a real challenge. You know, and I'm born with disabilities. So yes, we do have 2 water boards open. That was from the last consultant. They messed up the paperwork, said we never applied. And, you know, I believe when the county comes to me and says, hey, you made a mistake, you need to reapply. So we have 2 active water boards that I think are still paid. But, you know, the misconception and the confusion and the clarity, I went to prison, you know, for many, many years. And I took responsibilities for my actions. I'm here standing here going, oh my God, I'm actually going to be able to do something. I can't read or write. So a lot of this, I have to believe in you guys. So right now I have a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed that I've overpaid for many years because I believed in what you guys tell me. So please give me some good news so I can start working on my life future. And, you know, because I've been in the industry so many years, I have great relationships with a lot of the distribution stores that actually sell the product. So I won't be in this situation telling you guys my sorrows why I don't want to pay your taxes. I want to pay your taxes. I want to make sure there's more taxes, you know, because you guys are going to give us those grants. You're going to give us the right path to go down. You know, if we take the taxes away now, big corporations that moved in and don't know what they're doing and expanding and then saying they don't have no money, it's because you expanded with no market. That's your own fault. We have never done anything to the land yet, except for when we did the hemp license. And I think that was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I don't know, but we were told to stop that. And once we were in application, we couldn't do anything with our land. We did what you asked. So please, give us the opportunity of people that are legacy growers, some people that have been in this industry over 40 years. Give them a chance to get legal, you know? You busted him, you made him responsible, and kept him accountable of his actions. He did that. Now let's get in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I think we will go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission, looking for action.
Madam Chair?
Please.
I'm going to be happy to support this project. When I did read the staff report and all of that, I did have some serious concerns about access. And I find it interesting that there is in 4290 requirements for the interior driveway, but not necessarily the road to get you to that driveway, but that's a separate issue. And so once I heard about the existing, or the prior hemp operation and understood that there was prior vehicle activity, et cetera, related to the same kind of project, my concerns went away.
I just wanted to clarify, there was a comment in the agency comments about the well from the Lake County Water Resources, but I understand that's been solved, the well has...
To our satisfaction, yes, based on the water analysis that we were provided.
Okay, that's my only concern. I did the math on it. It looks like they have more than enough water. The only other concern I had was the public comments that were submitted about the road, and I think that what you proposed is reasonable. So I'm ready to support this project as well.
I would just like to say too, the applicant did reach out to me. I was unable to come out and take a visit of the site due to my schedule. The concerns that I've had have been addressed in terms of the road. I think we all had some of the same concerns. So I'm ready to support this project and make a motion if there's no further comments.
Yeah. No comments. Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to move that the Planning Commission find that the initial study IS 20-62 applied for by Pillsbury Family Farms Incorporated on property located at 26102 19 North 16 Road, Lake Pillsbury, and further described as APN 001-030-36, will not have a significant effect on the environment, and therefore mitigated negative declaration shall be approved with the findings listed in the staff report dated January 27, 2022.
And as
amended.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, further, I move that the Planning Commission find that the use permit UP 20-50 applied for by Pillsbury Family Farms Incorporated on property located at 26102 19 North 16 Road, Lake Pillsbury, and further described as APN 001-030-36, does meet the requirements of section 51.4 of Lake County zoning ordinance, and the major use permit be granted subject to the conditions and with the findings listed in the staff report dated January 27, 2022 as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Please note that the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for a 7-calendar-day appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fees must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Commission's final determination. Thank you for the applicant for waiting out on this with us. So we are moving on to office news. Director Darby, I'll let the chambers kind of clear out before we give you the floor. Sure.
Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Director Darby, the floor is yours for an untimed staff update on office news.
Hello, Commissioners. It's so good to see everyone. Thank you. I think we had a good meeting today.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy about that. So I have before you a quick little cheat sheet, and it is the Community Development Department Zoning Administrator's Update. I would like to start getting these out to you prior to our meeting, so you'll know some of the changes that will occur prior to. Okay. I would just like to say in terms of minutes, because we do not have a PC support person, so I am the minute taker.
Oh.
So I have completed December 16th minutes. They will be on the,
Oh.
I'm sorry. Okay, no worries. So the December 16th, 2022, and the January 13th, 2022 minutes are being prepared. Actually, I will disseminate the December 16th minutes to you today, although it won't be on the agenda for review and consideration until the February meeting, but it's pretty long, so I thought I would give them to you ahead of time to kind of get started. And then also, there are some changes to the Planning Commission hearing dates that I needed to go over with you. One is on February the 10th, there is a mandatory equity and diversity training I need to be a part of, and I did not advertise any legal advertisement for projects, so I am working with legal to cancel February the 10th, if that's okay with you, or to schedule another special hearing. So I need you to consider that. Also, along the same lines is June 9th. There will be a budget hearing here in the chambers on June 8th and June 9th, so there's a conflict. So we need to discuss whether or not we would like to cancel that meeting or schedule a special hearing for projects. So I will let you contemplate that as I continue to move on. Also, I wanted to share with you that our Community Development Department is growing and changing, and I'm very excited about that. So we have a couple of new additions or promotions. We have a new principal planner. His name is Michael McGinnis. He has a PhD. He used to teach at the University, I believe, of Davis, and CEQA is his specialty. And so we're very excited to have him on board. He should be Zooming somewhere out there, but you'll be meeting him soon. Also, we have a Cannabis program manager, Andrew Amalong. He used to be our associate planner. He is now our Cannabis program manager, and he is doing a phenomenal job, even though he's only been there a week. So I wanted to mention that to you about our staff changes. And also, Mary Claybon used to be our CDD technician. She is working as, or been promoted to an assistant planner, and she's also working on cannabis projects. So she's doing very, very well. In terms of recommendations for some of the issues that we face here in the chambers, especially the Scenic Combining District, we are working on that. I met with administration on what the process is to bring that before the Board of Supervisors. So she has advised me on that, and we're scheduling a meeting to move that forward. Staff, we do have recommendations on how we can make some text amendments to the Scenic Combining Districts. So once I present that to administration, we'll move forward. It is one of our immediate high priority projects, so we will be making some determinations, I believe, very soon from a staff perspective to the Board of Supervisors. And of course, it'll be up to them as decision makers how we move along. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And Eric Porter did a phenomenal job today. I'm so proud of him. He came up with some innovative and creative ideas on how to actually get some projects moved and approved, and so I'm very, very proud of him. Thank you very much, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, he deserves that hand clap. He earned it. He earned it. On here, I have highlighted new procedures, and special notes. So I was trying to tell you ahead of time that Victor wasn't going to be here, but now you know. Also, we've implemented the comment cards, because as I prepare the minutes, I cannot understand the names of the speakers. So that's where the cards come from. So if you're reading your minutes, I may have a first name with a letter and then a space. That means I could not understand what they were saying. I just wanted to also let you know the county council from now on will be attending the meetings through Zoom until further notice. And on the front part of this sheet, I have my county cell phone number, So if you ever need to reach me or text me or anything, you can have that information. And then also I listed the planning staff, so you'll know who's who. Okay.
That's great.
And that's pretty much it. The other things I wanted to discuss with you were about trainings, but I understand that everything has to be done on the agenda, so I'll move forward with that. But like trainings for the planning commissioners on CEQA and communicative impacts, I would like to have staff come in and do some presentations, some trainings on that. Conducting site visits with staff right now, and I know I've had some requests, but because of the variant, we've kind of put that on hold. But if you feel safe with one other person in a vehicle, we are available for that. And we are working on a revised cannabis ordinance, and so I would like to share that with you as I get approval to release it. And so that would have to be an agenda item, I understand. And also the other thing is, in addition to scenic combining, tree removals and how we deal with trees will be on the agenda. So that would conclude my update. I just need some follow-up and direction on how you would like to handle the Planning Commission hearing dates for February the 10th and June 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any direction on how we want to handle the two meetings that need to either be rescheduled or canceled, moved?
We have a pretty busy, we have a pretty loaded agenda, don't we? We have a lot of projects to look at, don't we? So are we looking at maybe a different location or maybe?
Different date?
A different date. Let's pull this up.
So the agenda items potentially for February 10, would there?
There aren't actually. Actually, there aren't any agenda items for February the 10th. Okay. I did not advertise.
Okay.
So nothing would be carrying?
That's correct.
Got it.
Okay.
So we're just looking at the June date?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is maybe the June 9th be held via Zoom instead of
In chambers? I was thinking that.
Is that technically possible? Because that'd be awesome.
That's up to you guys, I think.
Yeah, I think we just have to make a decision. I think.
If I may.
Please, Nicole.
So the Brown Act rules that allow for remote attendance or remote meetings that allowed you to make the findings you made at the beginning of this meeting relate to emergency situations. So it is not a matter of, so if your decision to attend remotely is based on anything other than an emergency situation, then the traditional Brown Act rules would apply. You would have to notify, you would have to post and notify, allow the public access to wherever it is that you as the commissioner are attending from. You'd give them a chance to go there and participate from that location. So if you're looking at a remote attending a meeting, I'm sorry, the date escapes me now, in June, I think you said?
Yeah, June 9th.
Right, that if at that time there is still an emergency and you have made findings based on that emergency that a remote meeting or a remote attendance may be required based on the circumstances of that emergency, then certainly you could attend remotely from that meeting under the amended Brown Act rules that allow for that. But if you are simply planning now for a remote attendance then the traditional Brown Act rules would apply.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I'm comfortable putting off a decision about June 9. That seems like a long time
So
from
long.
now.
It's like, yeah.
I mean, there's some urgency about the 10th next month, but that's my take.
I agree. Well, we can kind of circle back to the June 9th meeting as far as what we want to do, maybe at a later
Please
date.
remind us.
Kind of give us a little bit more of a time to figure it out. As far as the February 10th meeting,
If I may,
yes.
you may vote to sort of not hold that meeting. that special meeting for that day. Notice requirements would attach, staff would have to post it, it would essentially be an adjournment, but you can just decide as a commission that because there is nothing to be heard, there is no business to be had that day, that you will not hold that regular meeting. And then if you find later that there is extra business that you would like to attend to, you may hold a special meeting at that time.
Okay, but we can't like reserve it ahead of time, right? Yeah.
Well, you cannot decide now about an unknown emergency then.
Right.
Necessarily. You would have to, under the amended Brown Act rules, you have to revisit the emergency findings every 30 days. So you would certainly be doing that again between now and June. So you can't make that determination or make those findings now. You would have to make them based on the facts and circumstances then. If there is an emergency that applies then and you make the findings that relate to the fact that in order to continue your business and stay safe, that you would need to attend remotely, then you could certainly make those findings then, but you don't have those facts and circumstances now in order to make those findings now. And even if you did make them now, you would still have to revisit them every 30 days until June.
Thank you. So since there's nothing on, can we just go ahead and cancel we will just go ahead and not have a meeting on February 10th?
I think we have to find that since there are no actionable items, that the meeting will not go forward.
Okay.
Or make that kind of a motion. Is that correct, Nicole?
You can determine, you as a commission can decide to adjourn that special meeting to the next special meeting or to a special, adjourn that meeting to the next meeting, regular meeting, or determine that a special meeting, if you have a date, determine that you would like to hold a special meeting. But you can hold a special meeting at a later time. You can make that determination at a later time. Now you would just be adjourning that special meeting. I'm sorry, excuse me, adjourning that regular meeting.
Okay. So
if I didn't confuse you too much.
May I move that because we have no scheduled items, we adjourn the February 10th meeting to February 24th?
Second?
Don't we just adjourn it?
At all? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you could be, your regular meetings are designated and assigned. So if you're adjourning a regular meeting, it would not be to move that meeting to another date. It would simply be adjourning to the next regular meeting. And then at some point in the future, if it turns out that you do need an extra meeting, you can hold at that time a special meeting. But you're not replacing one meeting date with another today. You're simply deciding not to hold the meeting that particular date, regular meeting, in order, because there is no business to be had that day.
Okay. I move that we adjourn the February 10th meeting because there is no business to be conducted that day, period.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Nicole, for your time on that.
Hopefully it was clear.
As mud. No, I'm just kidding. So, Director Darby, does that conclude your office update?
Yes, if there are any changes or anything else you need to know during that time, I will be more than happy to provide it.
Okay.
The cheat sheet's a great idea.
Thank you so much. Yes, and I do appreciate the sheet. Meeting adjourned.